Our House of Commons in Parliament is becoming extremely tyrannical and irrational. Yes, this is about Harriet Harman and her Privileges Committee that went against Boris Johnson, and obviously they decided that he misled Parliament. Not only that, the punishment for Boris was going to be very severe. They were going to kick him out from Parliament as an MP, which he jumped before he was pushed, because part of that punishment would have been to permanently ban him, and they decided to go with it anyway, permanently ban him from the building. Even a pass is not allowed. Now, they've taken it to the next level. Supporters of Boris Johnson are now being hunted down. Yes, they are going against anybody who criticised the committee, anybody who called the committee a kangaroo court, anybody who didn't like the judgment, and they found evidence. They went around, compiled all this evidence against the pro-Boris MPs, and they're going to be going after them. We have a list of these MPs. So these are the evidence that the committee have now basically collected. On the 15th of June, Nadine Dorries went on Twitter and apparently said, "We also need to keep a close eye on the careers of the Conservative MPs who sat on that committee. Do they suddenly find themselves on chicken runs into safe seats, gongs, where they promised anything? Well, promises made? We need to know if they were. Justice has to be seen to be done at all levels of this process." So they're going after Nadine Dorries because of what she said there. On the 9th of June, Zach Goldsmith said, in retweeting a tweet calling the inquiry a witch hunt and a kangaroo court, exactly this. There was only ever going to be one outcome, and the evidence was totally irrelevant to it. On the 9th of June, same day, we had Mark Jenkinson on Twitter saying, "When the witch hunt has been forgotten, future generations will look back in astonishment." And again on the same day, Michael Fabricant also tweeted, "Serious questions will need to be asked about the manner in which the investigation was conducted. These were no jurists, as was apparent by the tone of the examination. The question of caliber, malice, and prejudice will need to be answered now or by historians." Again, on the 9th of June, we had Brendan Clark Smith also tweeting, "Tonight we saw the end result of a parliamentary witch hunt, which would put a banana republic to shame. It is the people of this country who elect and decide on their MPs. It's called democracy, and we used to value it here. Sadly, this no longer appears to be the case." They also decided to go against after Nadine Dorries again because of what she said on 23rd of March on Talk TV. She said, "I don't think there was ever a world in which this committee was going to find Boris innocent. The committee have demonstrated very clearly that they have decided early on to find him guilty. The committee knew that they had not a shred of evidence to prove that he misled with intent. They changed the rules, lowered the bar, and inserted the vague term reckless into the terms of reference. Boris Johnson will be found guilty by this kangaroo court. There is no doubt about that, and that in itself will be a disgraceful and possibly unlawful conclusion with serious reputational consequences." They also went after Jacob Rees-Mogg, who went on BBC Radio 4 on the 22nd of March saying, asked whether he shared the view expressed by some of Mr. Johnson's supporters that the process was a kangaroo court. Jacob said, "I think it makes kangaroo courts look respectable." On the 21st of March, Andrew Jenkins tweeted, "I hope to see him fully exonerated and put an end to this kangaroo court." They're also going after Jenkins because of that tweet. On the 20th of March, again, Jacob Rees-Mogg on GB News said, "The Privileges Committee is not even a proper legal setup. It has a gross..." I mean, that's a very good point, by the way, when it comes to the constitutional issues. And the media kept claiming that this is basically a legal court, but it wasn't. And we kept saying it on the channel. And he said, it is in fact a political committee against Boris Johnson. Yeah, Priti Patel also is being hunted down because Priti went on GB News and said, "How can a handful of members of parliament in a committee, really be that objective in light of some of the individual comments that have been made? I don't want to name people, but it is a fact. The lack of transparency, the lack of accountability. I think there is a culture of collusion, quite frankly, involved here. They also went after Nadine Dorries for 2 other occasions, one on Twitter, one on Daily Mail, saying, well, Nadine said they have nothing. He protested his innocence all along, and he was right. It was a gross miscarriage of justice at the very least. And yeah, and then obviously she also wrote things in the Daily Mail and everything else. Absolutely chaotic. This is the quality of our politicians right now. The members of the committee and Harriet Harman and Chris Bryant and all these guys now going after their own colleagues for simply expressing their opinions, for simply calling the Privilege Committee not a legal court, calling it a kangaroo court. That is literally the definition of it, because it's not a legal court, it's a fake court. And again, if they're not allowed, if they're coming for MPs now, then that means they're definitely going to come for us next time, easily. And you think obviously that we already have been destroying our free speech freedoms in this country. We know that, but things could get much worse. We already made a video earlier on today about the situation with Nigel Farage. He's been cancelled by the establishment. He's been forced out of Britain because banks have cancelled his bank accounts, and new banks are refusing to set up new accounts for him. And now we have MPs who are being attacked, and they're going to be sanctioned because of words. So that means we are not protected at all. If Nigel Farage can't be protected, if MPs can't be protected, then that's it for democracy and transparency and accountability in this country. It's concerning, but it's not the end of the world yet. There's a fight back. We have to see how the next election goes, and if any party or politician could actually lead us towards the light. Maybe Reform UK could actually step up their game, or maybe the Tories could sort out their part. I couldn't finish that sentence. The Tories could sort out their party. That's not going to happen anytime soon, and you know it. We'll see how everything goes until the next election. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.